Cavalier faithful, welcome back on into the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. Before we get into this episode talking about the Cavs opening night loss, make sure you're hitting that like button, commenting down below if you're excited for Cavs basketball to be back, and double checking, making sure that you have that subscribe button clicked. I thank every single person who watches the video, from me to you. I truly appreciate it. Let's talk Cavs home opener. 119-111 loss to the New York Knicks on the road. Weird game. A lot of firepower missing from both sides. You could make an argument that the Cavaliers were more shorthanded last night than the Knicks, but Hart and Mitchell Robinson were inactive for New York. Obviously, Darius Garland, DeAndre Hunter, and Max Strus inactive for the Cavaliers, two starters, and most likely our sixth man candidate, so to say, off the bench. I want to talk the good, the bad, and the ugly of the 119-111 loss. This regular season, as a lot of people have stated, and I'm hearing it early, well, if the regular season doesn't matter, then you can't complain about, okay, I'm not on that bandwagon. You know, I think that there's constructive criticisms that could be had, even if your whole point of saying the regular season doesn't matter, which is my stance. You could still have these discussions about the regular season, even though you're basically just saying it only matters when we're in the postseason, what the Cavs do at the end of the season. I think everybody can agree on that. All right, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to start with just a brief overview of the box score. So Evan Mobley takes 18 field goal attempts. That was good to see. 22 points. He needs to be a little bit more efficient, but we'll talk about that later. Bright spot in Larry Nance. He looked really good in 17 minutes. 10 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 from 7 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. Loved that. The ugly, Jarrett Allen. No show on night one. 4 points, 28 minutes, 4 rebounds. Evan Mobley leads the team with 8 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell is second in the team with assists as the starting point guard with 5. And Lonzo Ball, the backup point guard off the bench, has 6 assists. All right, I want to start off with the good first here, and I think that would be the pairing of Evan Mobley and Larry Nance Jr. I really liked how they worked together. Like I said earlier, an offense that flowed through Evan Mobley, showing what he could do, coming out in that first quarter, making sure that he got the basketball. Donovan Mitchell deferring to him early in the first half, something that we've seen time and time again with these two. You know, someone has the hot hand and then they roll from there. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell turns around and has that flamethrower of a third quarter, I believe, putting up 21 points and really bringing the Cavs back into this game and tying the game up and even maybe taking the lead briefly. That was one of my issues with last night, is that throughout the whole contest, it never really felt like the Cavs were in the game for the most part, or like they had a chance to win. It was tight down the stretch, don't get me wrong, but the Knicks from wire to wire held a pretty commanding lead, a double-digit 7-8 point lead, and it felt like every time the Cavaliers tried to get close, the Knicks widened the gap once again. There's a flip side, though, to this Evan Mobley issue, because I'm going to say that he was a little bit over-aggressive last night, and that sounds like contradictory to a lot of what people say about him, because we want him to be the hub of the offense. We want him to take more shots. We want him to be aggressive to the hoop. But that doesn't mean sacrifice the basketball. That doesn't mean waste possessions. That doesn't mean turn the ball over stupidly. I tweeted this out last night. This is his 5th season, guys. He should really be an MVP candidate this year as a two-way player. He's on a max rookie extension with an increased incentive because he won Defensive Player of the Year. He's making $269 million on a 5-year contract, $53 million annual salary. So he has to really step up this year. I'm looking at him to be the most well-rounded player on this roster. It's time for him to eclipse Donovan Mitchell. It's time for him to be, just as good as a Giannis Antetokounmpo in the East. Similar player like that. And I know that as Cavs fans, we want to say, oh, they're still developing. He hasn't even scratched the surface yet. I understand that. However, it's time right now. We're deep into the second apron. We have to do something here. And we have to see that big time growth from Evan Mobley this season. And in the same token, Larry Nance Jr., 10 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. So he played 17 minutes, was very efficient, 4-7 from the floor, and hit 2 3-pointers, which is all you're really going to have to ask from the guy. This is the Larry Nance role. It was encapsulated perfectly last night in this home opener. You don't have to be a leading scorer off the bench, even though he was last night. We're asking you to rebound the basketball. We're asking you to give us sparks off the bench, which he provided. He was probably, all things considered, my highest graded Cavalier last night. Believe it or not, was Larry Nance Jr. Shout out to him for that opening night performance. Lonzo Ball, interestingly enough, I think there were some mixed reactions about Lonzo Ball last night, and this is what I will say briefly about him. So he only has 3 points. He's 1 from 7 from the floor. All threes, by the way. 1 from 7 from 3-point range. 4 rebounds and 6 assists. So he leads the team in assists. The problem that fans are going to have with Lonzo is that moving on from Jerome and acquiring him is a big change for a lot of people as far as a viewing perspective, and maybe even from a coaching and fit and culture perspective as well for the coaching staff and Kenny Atkinson. He is not going to give you these games like we saw from Jerome last year, where he could go for 20 points and a half, 40 points in a game and those upper echelons of scoring. He is a facilitating guard. He is a longer, more athletic guard who is running the offense. He is not going to come out and be a flamethrower and give you all these points. He's a different type of point guard, which isn't necessarily bad. I'm excited to see what Lonzo Ball could do with this roster and with the Cavaliers this season. But my nitpicky issues with him last night were a little bit similar to Mobley, and I think I'm chalking it up to this being just a systemic issue. Game 1, knock the rust off and jitters on the road to start. And, everybody has high expectations for you. And I'm going to put a lot of it on that because it seemed like a system-wide thing where Lonzo Ball's bringing the ball down. And I'm like, what is he doing taking these shots? And I get it. You want to get your feet under you. You're the first game of the year. You want to see if your stroke is good. But he had a handful of 3-pointers that I was just scratching my head at. And it's early. It's the regular season. It's time to experiment and do all these things. But I was just a little bit confused with what the offensive game plan was for a good portion of last night's game. And I think that's going to be startling and head scratching to a lot of Cavalier fans because we didn't have that issue a year ago. We had the number 1 ranked offense in the league in plenty of statistical categories, the number 1 overall offense. We didn't lose a game last year, guys, till November 19th. So you're going to see some hot takes. You're going to see some people freaking out. You're going to see the typical Cavalier, Kenny Atkinson's the problem. Trade Jared Allen, this and that. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. I think that's a rational way to look at things. And the regular season is a testing ground to see if you could fix some of your shortcomings that you've had in the postseason these last couple of years, basically since we acquired Donovan Mitchell. Speaking of Mitchell, he was his normal self last night. 31 points, 12 of 25, 2 from 9 from 3. 5 of 5 from the free throw line in 36 minutes. Did get banged up a little bit at the end of the game. We'll be monitoring his status for this upcoming contest Friday, I believe. He hits the majority of the shots. He scores the majority of the points. It's kind of what you expect from Donovan Mitchell. He scores 21 of 31 in the third quarter, so not the most complete game of his career. He's a negative 14 in the plus-minus category, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. I'm not sold on him being point guard, the starting point guard with Garland out. And I'm hoping it's only a couple games. Darius was interviewed last night on the broadcast. It seems like it's only a couple of games for DG, which is going to be very good. I really dislike Donovan at the 1. I don't think the offense runs good. I don't think it's his natural position, obviously. I don't think he plays good at the 1. I am still in the camp of why don't you give CPJ a start? Why not? Bump Mitchell to the 2. You could play Merrill at the 3. Maybe that's what they're nervous about. Or you could play Tyson at the 3. I don't understand why that's not an option. And then you bring Merrill off the bench until some of these guys get healthy. And maybe even DeAndre Hunter is available for this next game. So you don't even need that. You don't even have that issue. CPJ, Donovan, Hunter, Mobley, Allen. I've been preaching that all offseason. I don't know why they don't want to give that a shot. I understand why they can't do it with Lonzo, but 7 minutes from Craig, I just don't like. That's not going to cut it for the whole season, Kenny. If Lonzo is unavailable and Craig Porter is logging these 5-minute games, 12-minute games, 7-minute games, what's your plan come playoff time with Darius Garland, who is, yes, believe it or not, an injury-prone player in the NBA? All right, finally, the ugly. I think what everyone is talking about today, I have a little bit of a caveat on top of it as well that I haven't seen many people talk about, but Jarrett Allen with an absolute stinker in the opening night contest. Just an uninspired performance. He's joking around pregame. Oh, the lights feel pretty bright in here. What are you saying, bro? Like, the league's best kept secret and the best contract in the league, and Kobe Altman fleeced the Nets. Like, come on, man. Let's wake up here and lock in. 4 points, Mr. Cardio. 4 rebounds, 2 steals. I guess you have active hands. I can give you kudos for that. But 28 minutes and 4 points from a guy who's supposed to be a mainstay piece of the core 4, it's just not going to cut it. With Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart out, and you have 4 rebounds. And I get it, you're only 6'9". Everybody wants to argue with me that you're a 7-footer. We don't have any 7-footers on the roster. I hate to break it to people. Maybe Thomas Bryant is 7 feet, but I don't even think he is, and that's my complaint. Where are the Thomas Bryant's minutes, Kenny? Thomas Bryant, DNP coach's decision. Why? You couldn't give some of those 28 minutes that Allen sucked up to Thomas Bryant? You saw what Larry Nance Jr. could do in 17 minutes. He was our most effective player off the bench last night, was Larry Nance Jr. No doubt about it, in my opinion. Thomas Bryant as a DNP last night is probably the most questionable thing that I have for Kenny Atkinson. If I'm in the press conference room postgame, that would be my first question. Hey, Jarrett Allen didn't seem to really have his game on par tonight. What was the reasoning for not getting Thomas Bryant into the game? Unfortunately, the Cavaliers start off 0-1 this year after last season where they started 15-0. Fall 119-111 to the New York Knicks. A lot of NBA basketball regular season still to be played. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'm not going to lose much sleep over this NBA regular season. I hope you guys don't either. But thanks for hanging around this long. We appreciate you being the pulse of it all. Peace.